Christmas Day 2005, man, what a time for video games. The Xbox 360 was revealed earlier that year at E3 by Elijah Wood, and gamers around the world were busting nuts harder than Frodo getting his boy pussy stretched out by a cave troll. Though Elijah seemed more enamored with the killers more than anything else.
But tonight, the next Xbox isn't the only thing that looks cool, as we have a special performance from the Killers, and now the time has come. You've waited long enough. I give you the future of gaming, the Killers. We leave you with the Killers.
But yeah, man, gamers were hyped. Next-gen HD gaming was finally here, and teenagers the world over were running downstairs at midnight to see if they were going to be one of the lucky few who would get to play Hexic HD on Christmas Day, baby. I'm not kidding, it was like winning the lottery for kids. Stores were reporting a global shortage of 360 units, and with no restocks coming before the end of the year, there just simply weren't going to be enough 360s in time for Christmas, which meant that a 360 was the new shiny Charizard on the playground. There were infamous eBay stories circulating gaming websites of clueless parents buying overpriced 360s in a desperate attempt to, I don't know, win their child's love through materialism, but ended up either getting just the box the console came in, or a literal cardboard box with an extra on it. This made for some hilarious yet sad angry one-star review rants from parents who have no doubt not heard from their kids to this day due to such a betrayal. So with the likelihood of getting a 360 being near impossible, and the fact that I never did get a shiny Charizard, though my sister somehow did in her first booster pack, and she didn't even like Pokemon. She was just jumping on the hype train and then got it stolen when she was showed off at school the next day, and I just mean, I pretty much reserved my expectations to socks, Canterlinks Africa, and maybe some kiddie chemistry sets from a distant relative who thought I'd be into that or something. But nonetheless, I was hyped for Christmas. It's always such a magical time, and hey, you never know, right? So, just like all the other 14-year-olds on Christmas, I practically leapt down my staircase in my Sonic pajamas that were a little too tight for me then, but I wasn't ready to say goodbye to them, and began devouring my presents. Sure enough, the socks, the Canterlinks, and obscure kid shit was all there, and before I knew it, I was done. I'd opened all my presents. Reality kicked in, and I thought, I knew it. I mean, like, what was the chances, you know? Maybe next year. So there I was, slumped on the couch in my tight Sonic PJs, comfort eating all the Christmas chocolate, and smelling a Lynx Africa while I watched Home Alone 2 on TV, lamenting that I had been once again kicked out of the Cool Kid Club. Oh, what's this? Mummy Dearest comes in with another way bigger present and puts it in front of my pathetic looking ass. And I approach it like a dog to lettuce. I've been hurt before, Mother, and I wasn't sure if my little heart could take another hit. I mean, I was balls deep into Fallout Boy at this time, and I was probably this close to creating my own Sonic OC. So this present was like a crossroads for where I was going to go in life. A lot hung on this. I reluctantly began to open it, slowly revealing what it was. At first, all I saw was white. Not much to go on. But then I saw bits of green. Oh, shit. The Xbox 360 theme was white and green, and then I saw it. The logo, Xbox 360. I fucking lost it. I mean Nintendo 64 kid status, only I was twice his age and half his shoe size. I spazzed out so hard in a chocolate-fueled hype that I tore my Sonic PJs, but I didn't care. I was a man now. I was a cool kid. I ran upstairs to my room, screaming like a bullied French bulldog. Set up my 360 and spent the early morning playing through Call of Duty 2. Being a release game, it was pretty short, and the concept of achievements was this new and exciting, addicting thing to my spurgy completionist brain. But to get 1,000 gamer score on COD 2, all you really needed to do was just beat the game on Veteran, and that was it. So I was pretty much done by dinner time, and it was all I could talk about at the dinner table, which we only strangely used on Christmas Day now I think about it. Usually it was just beans on toast in bedrooms and just no one ever speaking to each other in the house, but I guess that's a whole other video. So all that was left to do was just play Hexic HD and see how fast I could swap back and forth between the tabs on the 360 menu for like 10 minutes straight. There was always something so satisfying about that. So after a long night of sucking a Candy Crush, it was time for bed. The next day was Boxing Day. It's basically Britain's Black Friday, except we don't stomp people to literal death, what the fuck, America, to get a Henry Hoover on the cheap. But Boxing Day sales did mean new games. I took the money I got from Christmas cards and went with my uncle, because my mum and dad were fighting again, to a store called PC World where they basically, well, sold PCs, but for like crazy money because I came from a country bumpkin town that thought an internet was something you caught fish with. But this place did sell 360 games, and that's why we were there. I went straight to the games section, scanning the sparse selection that usually is launch titles. The 360 ended up having quite a variety actually. I mean, it had its obligatory current year sports and racing games, but also titles like Cameo, Quake 4, and even early access to the beta for Red Dead Redemption. There was one game where the cover art showed this badass looking babe in a latex suit holding a smoking gun. And I thought, ooh, cool, maybe this is like Metal Gear Solid because, you know, latex butts. But for the most part, nothing was really sticking out to me. It was either shoot stuff, race stuff, or play with balls. But that's when I saw it. Tucked away at the bottom corners of the shelves, as if hidden from all the mainstream titles, was a game that would go on to change my life in many ways. Of course, at the time, I had no idea it would. All I saw was a dark and disturbing image that had been staring at me the entire time without me even knowing. Like a stalker following their unsuspecting victim from a dark corner. And it instantly sent a mixture of chills and intrigue rushing through my mind when I noticed it. To this day, I scare easily, okay? I overthink horror scenarios in games, TV, or even my house when the lights go off and there's a clicking sound coming from the kitchen. It's to the point where my partner knows that if she wants me to get something done, all she has to do is threaten to turn off the lights and start crawling around our home. And I'll start squealing like a little bitch in submission. Like, okay, fine, I'll take out the trash. Fear is an emotion that is always so vivid when it presents itself to me. And it's exactly what I felt when I reached down to curiously kill the cat as to what the hell this game was. I had never heard of it. I knew absolutely nothing about this game, and that only added to the fear of what was waiting to come and get me, now that I had unfortunately acknowledged its existence. It's like when you open some cursed spooky chainmail at 3 a.m. and go to bed knowing you didn't forward it to 10 other people. It was already too late. I felt like I'd stumbled upon some cursed tape and I was about to be the next victim. Merry Christmas. The cover was of a barely lit face of some poor woman who had chains violently lashed over said face repeatedly, obscuring her expression, only leaving eyes. But those eyes were more than enough to convey her feelings. Sheer terror. Something I was beginning to share in just looking at her. What was she looking at that got her into this situation that evoked such fear? Was that same thing coming for me now? It was striking and off-putting in a way that only intrigued me to my doom. Like a moth to a flame, it only raised more questions. So I looked at the name, hoping to get an answer. And scratched into the artwork was the name, Condemned. What the fuck is a Condemned? I had no idea what condemned meant at the time. I mean, I had only just gotten over running out of the room in my tight PJs whenever cats came on the screen from Courage the Cowardly Dog. The fact I even remembered to breathe was a win in my book. But me not understanding anything about the game from its name only added to the fear that I felt holding on to this cursed abandoned horror hidden behind all the other more cheery, colourful, comprehensive titles. I mean, all the other games on the shelves felt simple. Easy to understand at just a moment's glance. Zoomy game go zoom zoom, shooty boys go boom boom. There was so much easy to digest information in either the titles or the art that you subconsciously already had a good idea as to what the game was about. But whenever I looked at this poor woman's face of terror, coupled with the aggressively carved in alien name, I got nothing. That was terrifying. Quite different to the babe in the latex suit and confident grin. While all the other games gave me a sense of having power, feeling cool and confident that I would win, This game coldly took all of that away and left me feeling vulnerable and afraid. And let's all just remember, okay, this is me simply looking at the front of the game. I haven't even played it yet, and it's already fucked me up this much. Shit, maybe I needed to see a therapist as a kid or something. Okay, so, the cover art gave me nothing but spooks. The name gave me nothing but confusion and shame in my literacy skills. Maybe the back of the game would finally shed some light as to what this actually is. Because I wasn't even interpreting this as a game anymore. Like, oh, is it first person or third person? Is it a shooter, stealth, or puzzle platformer? No. This had become some kind of incomprehensible cosmic horror that was quickly driving my teen bean brain to madness. Okay, so let's flip this over and see what's on the... The hunt for a serial killer has never been so terrifyingly real! Oh, shit. Are you fucking kidding me? A serial what? Look, you don't need to be a serial killer, okay? You could just be that crazy guy that's talking loudly to himself on the subway, and I don't want to fuck with you. But you got me hunting serial killers? What, the one that's literally lashing women's faces in chains? I'm fucked. I am fucked. Not good news, boys. Okay, but at least I finally now had some idea what this game was about. I could take some kind of twisted solace in that, you know? Like, knowing I'm probably gonna end up face down, ass up in a crack den, getting butt fucked by a psycho wearing my face is, better than not knowing. But yeah, it turns out we're playing the role of an FBI agent chasing down a serial killer who's been making a joke at the authorities. I got the impression it'd be like a Death Note, like battle of the wits, but also a battle of mental and physical endurance as to who was willing to dive into the darker sides of their humanity most to win. And man, just look at this back cover. Everything about it just screams dark, gritty, disturbing, and brutal. You've got screenshots of murder scenes, junkies beating the shit out of each other with lead pipes, and gimps. This is probably the guy that'll wear your face while he's balls deep in your shitter. Oh, buddy scoop. Coupled with a bunch of creepy game info like having to use tools to uncover clues left by the serial killer and that the enemy AI is unpredictable and complex, and all this being backlit by a fucking spooky skull, this was all too much. When one moment I felt like I had no information to go on, I suddenly felt like I was being overwhelmed with just how much I had fucked up picking this game. But I didn't put it back on the shelves. Instead, I went to my lonely, single, childless uncle, gave him the money in game, and asked if he could buy this for me because I was 14 going on 11, okay? And had no chance of getting into a PG-13 movie, let alone buying an 18 game called The Magic of Meth. And being that his shtick with the ladies was coming off as a nice guy to his brother's kids in public spaces, he said yes. Haha, gotcha, bitch. So, we're back in the car and on the way back home. I've got my factory-sealed nightmare on my lap. Oh, and I also got the Red Dead Beta 2, which was a pretty damn good game, but man, fuck getting all those gold veins for that achievement. Ooh, and that new game excitement started to hit me. You know what I'm talking about, man. The train, bus, car ride home and you got a new video game in your bag. Oh boy. Dude, you rip into that bad boy and devour that game, man. You're learning more about what was in store for you when you got home. And this only made the anticipation of playing the game all the greater. And this was back when video game manuals had heart and soul put into them, okay? Not that bullshit 2-page disclaimer about how you can't sue because your dumb epileptic ass was playing Geometry Wars in the dark at 2 a.m. and now you're spazzing out doing the Orange Justice dance on the floor while, I don't know, Porygon Evil laughs in the background or some shit. No, you opened the case and there was the disc, but next to it was usually like a 20-page something manual giving you backstory, art, and gameplay tips, all while smelling, oh baby, like a freshly opened pack of Pokemon cards. Oh, what's not to love? This manual, okay? Because every fucking page has a literal dead body in the background. I had to take breaks while reading through it on the ride home because I was always prone to getting car sick. I mean, of course the fucking Sonic kid gets a sensitive tummy tums, right? But my fascination with the game kept pulling me back to read on. You get to learn all of the tools that you'll be using to solve the case, and some of the weapons you'll find along the way. Each weapon had pros and cons, and some even had unique perks, but we'll get to all that later. I was deep! I was already planning on what my go-to weapon would be, picturing intense brawls where I had to fight for my motherfucking life. I had to make sure I was ready. And I thought I was. Finally, it was all coming together. This started to feel more exciting than scary. Then I got to the enemy section in the manual. As an agent in the serial crimes unit of the FBI, Agent Thomas's main objective is to hunt down serial killers. While tracking down different serial killers, Agent Thomas will... Whoa, wait, hold up, Bubble Butt. Fuck you mean serial killers? Different serial killers? I thought we were just hunting down the one skin-wearing psycho. Now you're telling me I got a backlog of butt-fucking coming my way? And it gets worse. Not only is the enemy behavior random and unpredictable, they're calculated and cunning, opting to hide in the dark corners of the crack den, waiting for you to pass by or turn your back on them, so they can give you a good old stabbing of that hep C. And oh, it gets worse still! If fighting dirty was not bad enough, multiple enemies will work together against Agent Thomas. They will take out lights, work together to attack you in groups, and run away when they are at a disadvantage. They turn off the lights? They turn off the fucking lights. This was starting to sound more like hide and shank. The thought of a bunch of tweakers sneaking around some derelict house trying to find you, and when they do, they turn off the lights and shatter your shitter was giving me serious instant buyer's remorse, to say the least. But even worse than all of that was this little gem firmly etched into my mind to this day. And it's the reason I'm even sharing with you this pitiful story of having a panic attack while reading a fucking game manual. An enemy can carry, pick up, swap, and discard weapons just like Agent Thomas. They also carry only one weapon at a time, and they must continuously locate and acquire a suitable weapon for the moment. Since the enemies can use any weapon that Agent Thomas can use, they may be forced to make difficult decisions when encountering multiple weapons. A weapon that is left behind may be acquired by an enemy and used against Agent Thomas. Remember where weapons have been left, and don't be surprised if they had been acquired if left unattended. That last part proper shit me up. These weren't trigger-activated goons that followed a cutscene. These were living, breathing psychopaths that were constantly skulking in the shadows. They knew how to fight and survive in the seediest and worst parts of society. They've killed before, and now you've just entered their turf, and they will use any dirty trick they can to snuff you out. Suddenly, I was back in that overwhelming cosmic fear state I first felt when seeing this game. It felt like I had the game case full of psychotic murderers and God knows what other horrors locked inside, and I just foolishly opened it, freeing them to spread their evil and corruption and to show their gratitude to me by thumb-fucking my eye sockets for doing so. Maybe I just wasn't ready for next gen. Maybe this was getting a little too HD for me. I mean, I was even getting a sweat on in Hexic HD whenever the time bombs appeared. Perhaps I should just go back to Crash Bandicoot where it's safe. If only I could, my friend. But it was too late. I had already opened Pandora's box. I had to see this through. So, we're nearing home, and now I spent the rest of the car ride just musing over what I'd gotten myself into. This strange, exciting, and scary discovery I just made. Bear in mind, everything that I just talked about transpired over the course of 20 minutes? It was so much to take in, and it was all I could think about. So I get home, Mum and Dad aren't talking, but I guess that's a whole other video. And I head up to my room and I just fall into the same kiddie routine of new game hype, baby. I turn on my console and I open the disc tray. And I go to put the disc with that poor woman's terrified chained face in the tray. And I don't push it in. I hesitate. I take one more look at those fear-stricken eyes and I pussy out.
Oh my god, just show some gameplay already, you little bitch!
Please understand. So, yeah, I bitch out at the starting line. Shocker, right? I push a disc tray, but I'm frantically slapping the power button repeatedly as soon as it went in before it could finish loading. Whew, man, that was a rush. I went downstairs to watch TV to calm down from my adrenaline high. It eventually started to get a little late, and that meant one thing: pajama time. But when I went to go change, I remembered that massive ass tear I left in them when I opened my 360. I had crossed a point of no return. You wanted to be a cool kid? Well, guess what? Now you got it. Gone were the days of PJ's Hot Cocoa and Spyro the Dragon. Welcome to the days of mustard-stained vests, vodka shots in your eyes, and choking back tears as you choke on a hobo's herpes cock in a back alley. Life comes at you fast, kid, so you better handle your business. It was time. Naked and afraid. I climbed back up onto my bed. And just to clarify, my bed was high up over a storage unit. I mean, I was small, but not that small where I looked like a literal toddler pulling myself onto the bed. I'm not saying that's what you were picturing, but as I was saying that, that's the image that came into my head, and I kind of got angry at myself. No, I take a deep breath in, and I turn on the 360. I start to rub my hands, and I'm gently rocking back and forth in nervousness as the company logos begin to flash on screen, briefly illuminating my Harry Potter-sized room as my TV was the only light source. Whereas my sister, in fact, had a room twice the size of mine with colour-changing LED lights, while I only had glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling of my room, which hadn't glown in like 3 fucking years, and I was fucking terrified in the dark, but whatever, that's another video. Oh look, Sega! I love Sega. And oh look, that's the Warner Brothers logo, that's the Looney Tunes, right? Maybe this game isn't gonna be so bad after all. I was using anything I could to delude myself into having the bravery to even meet whatever was going to be the main menu. And then another logo appears. Monolith Studios. I didn't know at the time, but I was already a fan of some of their previous work as a kid, and would go on to love a lot of their future titles too.
Ready to have some fun?
We did it, boys. Give me some skin. We made it to the main menu. 8 pages into this script and we finally made it to the fucking main menu. I hope you got a snack or something because we're clearly gonna be here for a while. So I remember the first time seeing this, and I don't know if the developers put this much thought into the menu. I don't think they did. They were really pressed for development time to meet the 360 launch date, but nonetheless, what's presented here just works so well that I can clearly recall what impact this had on me. The menu flashes into view after a black screen, so instantly you're bombarded with visual information, but the music is soft, calming even, with a bit of noir detective intrigue vibes going on. My mind couldn't help but twist that spooky, scary serial killer shadow on the staircase into some monster. Who was he? What was he doing? Is that him who I'm on the hunt for? Next to the image is a hunting knife that's resting just out of shot. Is that a murder weapon? Evidence? The background is an unorganized, chaotic mess of files and photos. And when you've had enough time to just take all of this in, that's when the music itself becomes more chaotic too, and this odd sense of dread begins to hit as a heart rate monitor beeps to reflect not only the main menu's erraticness, but also the feeling of unease it's having on me, the player, which is causing my heart rate to rise too. I mean, no doubt I was reading into this way too much, but man, isn't that what makes the passion for games, movies, and books and all those things we love just come alive? I don't know, I just thought it was pretty cool how something so simple could have such a big effect, and that's something we're going to get deeper into later, as it's something Monolith does so masterfully in this game. But for now, all that was left to do Let's click new game and get stuck into this nightmare. Boy, okay, seeing all of this flash in my face and light up my dark room, mixed with the creepy sound effects, really drew me deep into the world instantly. Now it might seem like a no-brainer, but guys, seriously, play horror games in the dark. Fuck them epileptic warnings on the manual, okay? You came here to die anyway, son. This is horror. Seriously though, if you have epilepsy, don't do that. I'm a fucking idiot. And then finally, the curtain is unveiled. The game opens to a dark and dreary intro of some rundown alley. The red and blues of a police car strobe off the cramped, derelict buildings, and all in all, it just seems so depressing and such an uninviting place to be. Obviously, our protagonist, Ethan Thomas, doesn't want to leave his car, but some big chungus batters your window urging you to shift your ass. He casually mentions something about a fucking dead body being in the building, and then just goes on to act as your tour guide throughout the crack den. Fantastic! And of course, this is where the hand-holding cutscene ends, and you are given control. You have to be the one to cross that tape and enter the place where dreams go to die. And man, let's just take a moment to appreciate the environmental design here. OG Monolith had a way of communicating so much to me in such simple styles. Everything was just so subtle. I felt the same way looking at these buildings as I did looking out of the windows of Fear. My mind would just wander and create little scenarios within them. Something about their simplistic style allowed me to fill in the details and bring it to life in a way that was personal to me. Again, over-analytical I know, let's just get back to the dead body in the meth madhouse. Okay, so, under the table. And instantly a sense of claustrophobia hits. I'm clinging to the clapping ass cheeks of Deputy Dummy Thick over here for safety, as he talks about some killer called the Matchmaker whose MO involves mannequins. Lovely. This section sets the tone instantly. I was constantly looking behind me in fear the door I came through would close or we'd be jumped. There's even some subtle spooks if you go off the intended path.
Jesus H! Nearly shot the bastard. Come on, this place is creeping me out. Nothing's down there. It's this way.
We were clearly not alone. Not long after, Big Boofer's flashlight breaks after he orangutanged out on our window with it, and we have to use our own. We get to see more of the building we're in, and again, I have to commend Monolith on their level design, and no doubt will do many more times before this video is over. The simplistic yet real nature of the areas you're in just sell the idea that this is all actually happening. We're not in some hellscape being chased by an ocean of blood or ghost girls. We're simply getting to see the ugliest sides of human nature and society, and it's fucking terrifying that this could be a scenario you could quite easily find in our real world. We meet up with another officer on the scene and proceed to the Jesus! The fuck's all this? Kid mannequins with their faces carved out? Eyes scratched all over the walls. In the middle of all of this is a fucked up dinner date gone horribly wrong, where apparently the lady ordered eel but choked on chain instead. All of this was being presented with eerie phantom screaming, and an ominous soundtrack playing just makes for quite the sudden, oh shit just got real moment. We get a call from Rosa, a lab tech who'll be helping us with analysing any evidence we find, and speaking of which, there's a ton to be had here. So we go through a naturally integrated forensics tutorial, and I love this. It's introducing game mechanics while also furthering story events. It plays to the simple design approach that Monolith did so well. We've all been subjected to the long-winded tutorials in training rooms or flashback sequences that do nothing other than just treat you like you're an idiot and painfully remind you that this is actually a video game. Whereas Condemned's approach is seamless and keeps you firmly immersed in the tense atmosphere. And sure enough, this is the MO of the matchmaker. The serial killer we were told of earlier, whose kink is all about abducting women and setting them up on blind dates with mannequins after killing them by strangulation. I know. But through analysing the evidence and just taking in my environment, I was already getting a feel for the killer's mindset. He had a mind for theatrics. The stage he had clearly taken a lot of time and effort to set up made this apparent. He adopts the role of a matchmaker, someone who believes they have the ability to manipulate people's fates and persuade them into being together. He's pretty much an obsessive who takes his fanfiction shipping a bit too far. So he thinks highly of himself, maybe having a god complex. Knowing this, along with the fact he didn't bother to mask his killing or hide evidence, shows that he's confident. He enjoys the risk of the chase. His victims were always women, but it didn't seem sexually motivated, but rather a twisted attempt at some romantic power trip. He wasn't the star of the show, but rather the mastermind behind the curtain that made the show so unforgettable. Kinda like when I say, Pulp Fiction, you're more likely to think Quentin Tarantino and not John Travolta. You see how much you can take from this short sequence? All of this information is immediately followed with a plethora of questions. Why this? Why the mannequins? Why the hollow faces? The abundance of eyes on the walls? Why choose strangulation? Why only women? What's his motive and endgame? Does he even have one? It's so well done, and of course I was fully engaged by this point. The hunt was on, and if I was going to catch this killer, I had to be willing to jump into the mind and think like a killer. Maybe even rationalize or find a way to relate to this killer. This was completely new territory for me. I have never been challenged quite like this in a video game. Silent Hill 2 is very similar on shining a light on the darker aspects of human nature, and that's definitely another game we need to talk about some other time. And games like Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 were mentally and emotionally expansive for my teenage self, but Condemned was different. It wasn't about discovering or accepting yourself or your dark actions. You had to be conscious and willing to go to that side from the very start. Are you seeing why I'm loving this game already? Soon after, Big Earl gets funky with Toe Jam over smoking a blunt at the crime scene. Turns out TJ is straight edge, which causes Earl to go full 300 IQ detective mode.
Becker, no smoking at a crime scene. I don't smoke. Well, someone was. It's coming from in here. Dang it! I can smell the cigarette smoke. He's right above us! Call for backup now!
And suddenly we're hearing erratic footsteps running up the emergency staircase. The matchmaker is still here. That revelation terrified me. It was bad enough finding this nightmare fuel festering in a forgotten derelict building and deducing all of the alarming information from the evidence it left. It all pointed to a highly intelligent, elusive, and dangerous predator, and now he's right fucking above us! But why though? Did he want to bathe in seeing his audience view as art? Was that his thing? Or was he so confident in his abilities that we didn't even pose a threat to begin with, and he was willing to make mannequins out of us if it came to that? So, sticking to the dumb white guy code when being in any horror situation, we decide to split up. Fantastic.
Let's go. Oh, and for Christ's sake, be careful.
Gee, thanks, Dr. Robotnik.
Agent Thomas, Officer Becker. I don't know if they're on a new drug or... Thomas Dickinson. There's one coming your way. Addict amped up on something.
We get thrown back into the game and I'm just bombarded with information. Oh shit, I got a gun! Where the shots come from upstairs? Who's blowing up my phone? There's a what coming my way? Oh fuck, there he is! Oh god! I hit the dog shit out of that pause button. I was literally on the edge of shitting the bed. I could hear his feet shuffling amongst the trash and needle-littered floor, occasionally letting out a strained cough. He wasn't coming to me. I had to go to him. I went through bursts of bravely taking a step closer before going back to the safety of the pause screen. Something that years of Resident Evil has etched into my brain. Eventually, I 1-2 step close enough to the addict that he actually starts fucking talking to me.
Hey, pig! I know you're down here!
Even spits out some generic, "Sir, I'm gonna need you to calm down."
Federal agent, come out peacefully or I will use force.
Fuck you!
Oh shit! I'm not fucking with you. That's exactly what happened. I hit my limit. All of this was just way too much. I frantically turned off the 360 and just sat there. In the dark, naked, and afraid. So the next day, I hadn't slept. I was too afraid of the scary men in the TV that loomed over my bed to sleep. But my curiosity and desire to jump back in left me in a paralysis by analysis situation. I wanted to play, but I was too much of a pussy to play. What do I do? At this point, Christmas was officially over. We were still off school for the holidays, but the terrible Christmas #1s we get every year in the UK stopped playing, and the TV ads stopped showing those guilt trips where some old lady is gonna be alone this Christmas and has no heating, so she'll probably die too, unless you pay us £2 a month, you piece of shit. And that meant that the boys were free from family obligations. We could hang out and smash some video games. I get onto the phone to the crew and arrange a sleepover at this one friend's house who was kinda like our meet-up place every Friday. So the plans are set for tonight. Oh boy, I'm actually doing this, I'm so wild! I had to prepare myself. I couldn't share this nightmare game with them and confess I was too much of a biatch to even beat the first baddie. They'd rip the piss out of me. I had to research. Now remember, this is 2005. YouTube had literally started that same year, and gaming videos just weren't a thing then. I mean, the first real popular video to hit YouTube would be some white dude convincing you that this is dancing. And that wouldn't even happen until April 2006. Early days YouTube was a trip, man. No, instead I did what any high schooler would do when tasked with any kind of homework. I googled it. And it turned out Condemned had its own official website. I was instantly intrigued. Maybe I could dive deeper into this disturbing, alluring world, but in a safe way that doesn't have me getting my face caved in by a 2x4.
Oh my god.
Turns out that was exactly what was waiting for me when I clicked on the link. The website, sadly, is no longer available, and that really fucking sucks because I would love to go back and relive visiting this for the first time again. The site had the same scratchy, gritty art style of the game. Dimly lit mannequins lay broken, staring at you with hollow faces. This instantly reminded me of the intense murder scene of the night before. And there were some light backstory pieces and some screenshots. Brilliant! I could expand on this and pretend I know what I'm talking about tonight at the sleepover. But hold up, wait a minute. What the fuck is this? There was a point-and-click game on the site called The Prequel. Instantly, I was returned to that moment I first found the game on the shelf. Oh, for fuck's sake, what is this I've stumbled onto now? I just came here looking to get some info so I could spin some bullshit story to impress my friends about how knowledgeable I am at this game because I've already got, I don't know, halfway through it or some bullshit, and now you're hitting me with this? And at this time in the mid-2000s, I'm sure any of you that were in high school during those days can just attest to this as well, all we ever did in IT class was just play flash games and escape the room point-and-click games, and I was super into them. So the more I think about it, it just feels like Condemned was the perfect game for me and entered my life at just the right time, and I can't help but have a sentimental bias to because of that. So yeah, obviously I had to check out what this minigame was all about. So if you want to check this point and click out for yourself, you actually can still play it via a mirror link you can find in the description. It's a Russian website, but the game's in English. Shit's probably safe, but if you end up getting a knock on the door by the Matchmaker Cheeky Breeky edition, then I'll try and do you justice in the Condemned sequel or something. So yeah, the prequel is split into 6 chapters, and it's a real-world live-action point-and-click in that the scenes are of filmed locations with actual people as the characters, which just made for a more real experience to me and harken back to those cheesy FMV games of the past. You take on the role of an FBI agent who's fallen from grace. He's divorced, a comfort drinker, and living in some shitty apartment. He gets a call from the higher-ups to investigate a murder scene. Probably the only thing he's got going on for him that'll pull him out of his self-loathing whiskey-induced bullshit. Some of the scenes are genuinely creepy, and I was playing the entire thing peeking through the gaps in my fingers and the sound turned low out of its 10 to 15 minute playtime. It's a short cat and mouse scenario that ends with the killer finding out the location of the FBI agent's family and an intense chase leading to the killer simply killing him. How the climax was just thrown in your face was disturbing and just so in tune with what Condemned was. It wasn't grand, epic, or Hollywoody, you know? You just simply got your fucking skull smashed in by a psycho in some forgotten building. Your final thoughts are of your family that you failed, the job that you failed, your life that you failed. It was just this cold, unapologetic and depressing vibe, and that powerful feeling stayed with me after I turned off my PC. Oh damn, this is actually way longer than I thought it was gonna be. I'll get me a cup of tea. Okay, so, night came. It was winter, so it was dark and cold by 4 p.m. And I started to bike over to my friend's house with game and console in my backpack. I had to cross over a couple of fields in the pitch black, and I always hated doing this. I was so convinced this was going to be the time I get dragged into the bushes by some bent-neck ring bitch or something like that. And the adventures I've been having these past 24 hours did not help with that imagination. But eventually, I make it to my friend's neighborhood, and he lived in one of the more rougher parts of town. The houses were noticeably in worse condition, and if you were going to see an addict amped up on something, it'd be here. Again, it was like Condemned was constantly talking to me. It was everywhere I went, everything I saw, it was fucking freaky. But all that quickly goes away when I meet up with the boys. We instantly start talking video games, filling up cups of apple juice and ordering Domino's pizza. Oh, we were bowling, okay? We hook up the 360 and I reach for Condemned. A part of me is like, should I be that asshole who subjects their poor innocent souls to this shit? Kinda like that dickhead in It Follows who has that STD ghost stalking him, so he knobs a chick to give it to her instead. But then I quickly remembered I was a fucking pussy and needed company in this nightmare, so I whipped up that case and told them all about it. They were hooked and wanted to see what the game was like. I thought, phew, great. Finally I can relax. I've got a team now. I don't need to play this, I could just watch. I'd enjoy it all the same. I play out the cutscenes, the creepy crack tour, and the crime scene investigation. Shit gets fucked and we separate again. The meth head runs past me and I pause the game. So, who wants to play first? I say in a cool, ominous tone like a DM at a game of D&D. I turn around and these motherfuckers have pillows in their arms, boy! Wide-eyed and silent. No one steps up. No one fucking steps up, son. This is why I came here. I was the smallest and the palest of our posse, okay? I couldn't handle this shit. We had a Mexican and whatever the fuck my main man Dan is rolling with us. Dudes who are way more ethnically gifted in having some cool badass points, and yet I'm the one with the controller in my hand? I'm fucked. I am fucked. I had no idea what was about to come next in the game, but I couldn't pussy out like last night now because I got the boys watching me. I had to do it for the boys. So I tried to put on my best, you little pussies act, and try not to let the tears building up roll down my face as I hit the resume button. I was locked in, and would go on to play the game in its entirety in one sitting. So let's get deep into what I think is one of the best horror games of all time.
Fucking finally!
But please understand. So with everything we gone over in this video, I'd like to think I've given you a decent idea of my mindset with horror games. And if you've shared in anything that I've talked about here and you haven't played Condemned yet, then trust me when I say you will love it. Close this video, blast through the 5-hour campaign, and come back to enjoy the rest of this deep dive as we'll be going over all the in-game events, and this is a title best experienced purely blind. You still here? Okay, well, welcome back if you did go and play Condemned. It's pretty fucking awesome, right? Or if you didn't and don't really care to, or this is just some autoplay background noise for you, then that's cool, man. Get your workout on. I hope your room's gonna get cleaned up soon or some shit like that. Either way, refresh on them snacks and get comfy as we go from start to finish with Condemned Criminal Origins. Sucker! You think this is a game, son? I had to set an example for the boys. And pressure makes diamonds. I actually remember hearing some of the guys behind me literally gasp at seeing the meth monkey jump around the corner. Can you imagine being in a room of teenage boys and they're gasping? This was going to be a crazy night, and I wouldn't have been surprised if tears were shed and love confessed by the time the sun came up the next day. Rosa pretty much tells us we're SOL and to strap in because the streets are now a jungle of meth monkeys looking to pull off your arms along with your windshield wipers. And it's at this point where the game really begins. Slapping your hand away as you beg them for just one more cutscene to store your inevitable pants shitting. Nope! Now it was just you, your first murder, and your peacekeeper. So this is a probably good time to talk about firearms in Condemned. Guns were like getting a blue drop in a low-level dungeon in World of Warcraft. They were rare, and you instantly felt safe with one in your hands. That was until you checked its ammo count and saw it only had 1 or 2 fucking shots left, and considered just using it on yourself instead. A sneaky feature of the game is that you can't pick up and share ammunition between the same 2 types of guns, like say 2 shotguns or 2 pistols. This meant you were always extremely limited in ammunition and had to make smart decisions about what you were going to keep and discard. A much different tone than the spray and pray we quickly got used to in the annual FPSs of recent years. But when you inevitably did go click, you'd resort to using it as a melee weapon, which blew my fucking mind. Battering someone to death with a shotgun stock as it cracked closer to breaking with each hit was next level savagery. I remember feeling like I was just like the very vagrants and addicts that Rosa mentioned when I did this. Only difference was I had an FBI code, so it was legal. So yeah, guns. Very powerful, but very limited. And I loved that because it only made for a more satisfying feeling when you did come across a fully loaded shotgun. And it also meant you couldn't just blast through each level. And while I'm gushing about the guns for a second, quick shout out to the double barrel sawn off in this game. The ammo check animation of this gun is so fucking cool, and one of my favorite animations in gaming. I must have looked like a proper fucking spur constantly whipping this thing up and down, and it could only ever have 2 shots in it, but man did I feel like a bona fide badass for them 2 shots. So I think it was actually a really cool idea to have you start off with a fully loaded firearm. It made sense being that you were an FBI agent at a fucking murder scene, but from a gameplay standpoint, it sets you up with this false sense of security and power. I mean, Ethan even tries to talk the first enemy into not fighting. That innocent naivety quickly goes out the fucking window after your first encounter. But for now, we are the powerful gun-toting authority who can kick like a donkey with a cattle prod up its ass. So we begin making our way through the derelict building. And man, how the flashlight flickers and glares off of all the dreary and drab colours, chipped paint, graffitied walls, and all the trash litter in the floor. It It just makes for such a depressing scene, and I just love it. It feels so simple yet real to walk through. The rooms start to open up, which made me super paranoid of every pillar and corner that could be hiding danger. But nothing. Until we double back. Again, it's subtle but effective, and this is something that Condemned nails from start to finish. There are in-your-face set-piece spookies, but they're used smartly and they're few and far between. For the most part, the horror was simply in the environment, your dwindling ammo, and the unpredictable nature of the enemies that would make their own natural jump scares as they stalked you from corner to corner. Soon after, we hear Ethan take a sharp inhale, and we get hit with this trippy cutscene seemingly out of nowhere. The image is grainy, devoid of colour, and very scratchy and unstable in how it's presented, along with bizarre audio. We see a shadowy figure putting out a cigarette on a circuit breaker before leaving, and we snap out of the trip with another deep breath into the gameplay. What the fuck was that? We saw something like that back at the murder scene where a shadowed man was carving something into a mannequin head, and that prompted us to investigate the mannequin's face at the dinner table. Was this Ethan's detective intuition kicking in? Why did it seem to strike him and present itself in such a violent and erratic way? For the sake of spoops? Or was something else going on? Something was feeling off to me. I mean, despite the fact we're in a crack den chasing a serial killer who likes his titties chained and his children without fucking faces. But whatever, flip the switch and get the lights back on. Why didn't he kill us? Did he have some other plan, or was he having too much fun to end it so soon? Ethan gets up and I'm freaking out without a weapon, but I see a pipe on the wall. I recalled pipes were one of the melee weapons you could use, so I beeline for it and instantly pry it from the wall. It's no 9mm, but I'd rather swing lead than eat lead. Without the safety of bullets, I instantly felt this primitive sense sharpening shit going on. It was mainly just paranoia and tension shaken and stirred into a shitty cocktail of anxiety, but I was ready to batter the bollocks off of anything that moved in front of me. So now we're introduced to melee weapons, and this is one of the things that Condemned does, chef's kiss, so well. Oh, and by the way, that is the correct way to say melee. If you're one of those kind of motherfuckers that say melee or melee, then no. In the words of Todd Howard, it just works. But it actually does. Before Condemned, I would go as far as to say, and you can quote me on this, melee and FPSs? That shit dick! I mean, don't get me wrong, melee and FPSs today is awesome. Vermintide 2 is my most played game on Steam, and that's basically beat the fuck out of Bad Rats the game. And the End of Zoe DLC was the best part of Resident Evil 7, which could quite easily be a Condemned spin-off. I mean, what was your first melee experience in an FPS game? Mine was Doom. Pulling out the knuckle duster always looked so fucking cool to me, and I was mad admiring Doom guy's manly arm hair every time I did. And the idea of literally beating the shit out of demon imps was badass, but doing it? That shit dick! If you honestly thought punching pinkies was more fun than blowing holes through fools with a shotgun, then you're a psychopath, and you're probably the same meth monkey that jumped us in the beginning of the game.
Poopity scoop.
But yeah, for the most part, melee, minus the berserk power-ups, and an FPS was largely considered a weak last resort for whenever you ran out of ammo, and as a result, just wasn't really given much love. I mean, the Pitchfork and Blood was pretty good, the Chainsaw in Doom 2 is fun for like one mission, and Duke Nukem's freeze kick his eye, but meh. But melee and Condemned? Holy shit! First off, from an immersive point of view, the melee system is fucking fantastic. You can interact with damn near every part of your environment to use as a weapon. You can pull a pipe from a stash of scrap metal on a shelf or pry a steam pipe from the wall, causing said steam to hiss out of the wall. Ripping a conduit out will cause the lights in the room to turn off. Wrestle rebar from damaged exposed walls, varying styles of 2x4. And if you were in an area that was, say, burnt down, that 2x4 would change to reflect that in both appearance and stats. And that's not even half of them. And speaking on stats, each weapon is broken down into damage, speed, reach, and block. You get instantly understandable comparison sheets when looking at a weapon whilst already holding one. You see how deep and well made all this shit is? And we haven't even gotten to swinging it yet. All of this made for a realistic and immersive experience where not only were you frantically ripping apart rooms to arm yourself, but also your enemies. Remember when I said the steam pipes would hiss when you ripped them off the walls? Or the lights would flicker out when you yank a conduit from the wall? Well, the same goes when an enemy does it. So you could be cautiously walking down a tight corridor and suddenly hearing a piercing hiss from behind you, or the room you're in instantly cuts to darkness as the bad boys are a-coming. And that brings us back to me frantically pulling a pipe out the wall, and thus gaining my first melee weapon. I distinctly remember not wanting to walk towards the darkness of Nope with just a Pope? A pipe! Fucking typos. Walking down the darkness of Nope with a Pope, and hitting the pause button yet again. I was trying to play off the totally not shitting it cool guy facade again, and offering the controller like a challenge to the rest of the crew. At this point, the boys were biting their pillows and visibly shaking. If I took a pic of it and slapped a Brazzers logo on the corner, you wouldn't even think it was a joke. You'd expect to get some bedtime boy butt bashing if you clicked on it. I managed to stutter, pussies, with my cracking voice as I turned back to the TV whispering, please no, before resuming the game. And sure enough, shit gets fucked instantly, with crack rats scurrying out of the walls. When this happened, I heard one of the boys behind say, dude, what the fuck? You could just tell from his voice that this was getting too fucking weird for him, and I was right there with him. I'm collecting dead birds? Okay, but why though? Was this Ethan's pastime hobby? Was he already succumbing to the madness of the streets? Of all the collectibles I've ever obtained in games to this point, this was definitely up there for being one of the weirder ones. It wasn't long since we've just been given our first taste of melee combat, but just check this out. Man, what an intro that was! I was fucking amped on adrenaline. Not only were there two enemies at once, they burst through the fucking walls and the ceiling, yelling, grunting, throwing furniture spinning. It's all so chaotic that they even turn on each other when one gets accidentally smacked by the other. I love it when games have the enemy on enemy mechanic, and the sheer sounds and feel of impact of each connecting swing. God, it's all just so fucking brutal, and I love it because I'm a degenerate! So of course I slapped the shit out of the pause button again to a bunch of, dude, epic for the win! That was Lee Bro pure fucking ownage! Yeah, 2000s gaming lingo. I was terrified but engaged, so now I go back in with a whole new energy. Okay, never mind. Okay, so first the freaky mindjack shit, then the dead birds, and now this? Scraps of metal on the wall covered in eyes? Dude, what the fuck? I know, man, I know. It's okay, at least it can't get any worse. Okay, what the fuck is going on? The line between what was real and what wasn't was blurring, and I wasn't expecting any of this. Is this mental illness? Drugs? Paranormal shit? Something else was going on here. This wasn't just bad boys doing bad things. Ethan immediately smells me shitting my pants and whips out the gas spectrometer. I'm thinking, oh fuck, not another dead body, as I blindly follow the lights blipping towards red. Oh. Another one for the collection, I guess. I just picture Ethan stuffing bird bodies in his pockets, and it's just an image that just doesn't sit right with me. We progress higher up the building until I hear a voice that isn't screaming or listing off a number of creative ways for me to go fuck myself and die. Hey, it's Colonel Chunk! I update him on my stellar police work, stating that not only am I stuck, the serial killer also has my gun. Daddy Fat Stacks, of course, tells me to fuck myself and die, and tosses over an axe to do both with. And further pointing out just how much of a liability I am, he reminds me that I've also had a taser the entire time and should probably use it. Not only does the fire axe do silly damage because it was of course made to kill fires, but it can also be used as a tool for opening doors. So now the game's added an extra layer of depth to its melee system. Do you keep the fast and easy to use pipes and 2x4s and risk not being able to open optional doors for extra goodies? Or do you stick to the hefty axe that can't block for dick but feel like a smug pug when you hack down that door with a fully loaded shotgun in it? And it's not just axes. Crowbars open safes, sledgehammers can smash locks, and shovels can open electronically locked doors by cutting the power. So now there's this whole other element to consider when choosing what weapon to roll with. But wait! There's more! This thing fucking kicks. The first time I got to use it, the whole room erupted like we were commenting in a Smash tournament.
Happy feet. Wombo combo. That ain't Falco. That ain't Falco.
We were wide-eyed British boys who knew nothing about violence and crimes. The concept of tasers and guns that shot actual bullets and not just BBs was something you only saw in the movies. But now we were getting to exercise our Second Amendment rights on the dregs of society. So this is what it's like to be from the land of the free.
Get your ass whooped!
But seriously, that taser was a trip. Not only did it incapacitate enemies, allowing you to get a free hit off on them, but you could even snatch their weapon away from them, leaving them with nothing but their teeth to lunge at you with. Though this usually did more damage than anything else in the game. It was pretty damn powerful, but you even got an upgraded version of it halfway through the game, which sounded like you were striking fools with the fury of Zeus as they violently pissed their pants on the floor. This left them in a daze for a good 10 seconds and always sent their health to a one-hit status, meaning all you had to do was remember your protect and serve training and kick them when they were down to meet your weekly arrest quota. All in all, I loved using it as a kid, as it felt like safety in a can that I could just pop out at any time from afar. But looking at it now, the taser can just kind of trivialize the game, reduce the attention and engagement of melee brawls, and just dilute the whole horror as well. So I tend to forget it's there nowadays. So the rest of the level is mainly beating bum butts now that the game has introduced you to every mechanic you'll be playing with. And it was while said butt beating that one of the butt beater bums threw his weapon aside, teeth flying out of his face, and dropped to his knees. What the fuck? Was he accepting defeat? Was he begging for his life? I turned to the boys who just shook their heads in confusion, and I cautiously approached him. A window popped up, asking me how I wanted to fucking murder this man. My choices were ram, snap, slam, punch. Sounds like the mascots for a Condemned cereal. I'd take my video games as I take my ending to Metal Gear Solid 3. Pretty fucking hard. So I rammed that poor bastard, ramming Ethan's bulldog face into his, despite him wearing a fucking helmet and literally killing him. The room erupting into wombo combos once again. So now I'm just going on a tear reading fools their rights until this happens. My white guy protagonist senses start tingling, convincing me that going into that door is totally a good idea and nothing at all bad is gonna happen because I am the law.
How does it feel to be on this end of the gun? But listen, you bastard. Don't mess this up for us. We are both on the same path of righteousness.
Thomas!
And the path takes strange turns.
Police! Drop the weapon now!
Be ready for death, Agent Thomas. It shall come visiting again.
Oh. We're greeted with the noir main menu theme again as we're shown a stat screen of just how fucking bad I am. I've always loved these stat screens at the end of a level in games. Just telling you how many secrets you've missed along the way always makes me want to go back and search the level over again, finding everything. There was a mass release of tension and sighs of relief in the room. We did level 1, boys! With the fucking shit! Glasses of apple juice were topped up and we went back in for round 2. After the hype of level 1, protecting and serving the shit out of homeless, I felt pretty competent. I had this. I mean, how bad could it get? We wake up to Ethan in his depressing as fuck apartment. Wait, isn't he an FBI agent? Shouldn't he be making silly money? Hold on a sec. How much do FBI make? Okay, well, he's a pretty decent agent, so let's say he makes mid-range. Okay, how much is that in tea leaves? Yeah, that's plenty to get him a house with a garden. What the fuck are you doing, you stingy cunt? Yeah. Ethan tries to wash his bad case of ugly off, but then suddenly spooky white man! What the fuck was that? Up until this point, this game seemed pretty clear in what it was. It was a grounded murder mystery where the horror aspect came from having to fight for your life as you chased a serial killer through sketchy locales. So, what the fuck is it? It was like that horrifying moment when a game hits you with a scare that you had no idea was coming because it was so out of context or out of theme with what the game was prior to it happening. Like, say, entering Lavender Town and your Pokemon being too afraid to fight the ghosts in the tower who tell you to get out. Completely catching you off guard and suddenly making you question just what the fuck this seemingly innocent kiddie game actually was. So many questions instantly filled my head and I was too dumb to answer any of them. So all I was really capable of saying was shit like, I don't like this, I don't like this. But if that wasn't enough, turns out the entire time we were napping, this sketch as fucko geezer has been creeping on us. Legs crossed to no doubt conceal a semi-chub after carrying us in his arms back to our shithole of a home. He tells us he's a friend of the family and compliments how well we've filled out over the years before saying, hey man, police be corrupt, yo, and they's coming for you too. And urges us to escape while also keeping this special little night we shared a secret from the authorities. We also get a glimpse of a figure in a familiar jumpsuit before chrome kamikazes into our window. Seems everyone's out to fuck Ethan in one way or another tonight. We break out just before the FBI break in and we're on to chapter 2. The level starts us off in yet another dreary and depressing scene. Turns out Ethan lives right above a train line because of course he fucking does. This always reminds you of those really bleak scenes in movies like Fight Club or Jacob's Ladder where the main character lives in some rundown apartment that has a train passing by every few minutes and it causes the whole walls and windows to shake. It's also claustrophobic and devoid of colour and life, and it's no wonder how people could fall into a life of madness when its surroundings are just so oppressive. And I love it! I love how the game never lets up on this feeling. Most horrors tend to hit you in bursts. There's a puzzle, combat, a spook, explore and repeat. This is to try and give you some break in gameplay and atmosphere to prevent you from burning out or being overwhelmed or just flat out bored. But Condemned nails this so well that it's constantly stifling and depressing, but never boring. It's just a bleak game devoid of hope and I applaud it for that. And just look at this dark tunnel behind the stairs. It's not the way you're supposed to go or even be made aware of. You have to consciously turn behind you out of fear of something creeping up on you to see this ominous alley that's hiding God knows what in the dark. It's so simple and subtle, but man, Condemned's level design just had a way of playing on my imagination to make everything appear 10 times more mysterious and terrifying by just showing, not telling. But getting back to the sweaty controller. Turns out the matchmaker has been taking pictures of us in our home and developing them here. Why the obsession? Was he staking out his next victim? All of his other victims were women, though. Or is he getting to know his chaser in order to better lose him? If that was the case, why not kill us when he had the chance? Ah, my little fucking brain! So we take photos of photos, and would you look at that? We still have our lab access, and Rosa to help us analyze evidence as she's convinced we're not cop killers. Shout out to Ice-T.
I am not gay. I have relationships with women and sex with men.
And I got news for you. That means you're gay.
This level has us going through the maintenance sections of the metro station, and for the most part, it's pretty simple. The entire metro has been overrun with hoodlums, and I got a sense of going further into enemy territory despite it being literally outside my home. The game cleverly had me get familiar with busting heads and snapping necks as I made my way through the metro. I was getting a sense of twisted comfort within the world. Combat was brutal, but manageable. I wasn't being overwhelmed by the increase of enemies, and despite the odd sneak attack and sudden jump scare, I was getting shit done. Venturing through all the platforms, break rooms, and little burger joints that still had the menus and prices lit up all felt like a recently lived and worked in environment. It all felt familiar and relatable, except, the person taking your order suddenly choking you out for being the 100th guy to ask for the Rick and Morty sauce. The level simply felt like the train station at your local city. It was grounded in a dark reality, but something even more twisted felt like it was slowly invading its way into your world. And this level is really a great showcase for the enemy AI too. You get a sample of what's in store with the intro level. What with them smashing through walls, mercilessly beating on each other to get to you, and scurrying away up holes in the ceiling or around corners when things don't look good for them. But the metro station is where they really up they fuck shit. They might be trying to hide around a corner to get a drop on you, but suddenly start going into a violent argument with themselves, cause them to beat their own head, violently vomit, and just rapidly bum rush you instead. Or they could be trying to get the drop on you, but fidget and accidentally kick a box next to them into your view. Not only accidentally jump scaring you, but also alerting you to their presence. They would choke each other out, fuck with your surroundings to mess with you, or even, hey, what the fuck is that? God damn, what is it with drugs and spooky white men that always make them think they're fucking rats? Midway through the metro station, our Motorola Razr goes off, and a familiar voice is on the line. Our favourite Uncle Van Horn somehow has our number now. He tells us not to sweat the details, but instead to trust our instincts, claiming they will allow us to see so much more, and alluding cryptically to other ominous events in our past, like how we got this gift. What does that mean? Are we special in some way? Is there a dark force out to get us? Is there more to the rising crime rate in the city than just a new drug? Are we Doverkin? Yeah. Eventually we make it to the room we saw the jumpsuit figure in at the beginning, and sure enough, he has as much of a fall on us as we do on him. Photos, recordings, newspaper articles. He seems obsessed in the idea of a serial killer with his sights zeroed in on you. That's not a nice feeling. I mean, imagine it. You could be living right next to someone who you pass by every single day, maybe even sharing some small talk as you're checking your mail, and they could be the fucking matchmaker, and he just swiped right on your ass. It's an entirely possible scenario in our real world, and that just makes my boy Pussy tremble. He seems to have been following our previous cases, all serial killers whose trails have gone cold, resulting in a rap for our boy Ethan. And then we suddenly get bombarded with hallucinations, and it gets so extreme that it ends up attacking us. The music is trippy, the color is gone, and everything's just so disorientating and chaotic. Like, what the fuck is going on? We overcome the mental assault and are violently thrown back into reality. Before we even have a moment to compose ourselves and make sense of what just happened, we see him, the matchmaker. He's right there. We catch him, and we break our losing streak with catching serial killers and clear our name with the FBI. I remember trying so fucking hard to catch this guy. I wasn't scared, I was hyped. Everything rested on this, but goddammit, Ethan, you have the cardio of a fucking cabbage! I even tried to tase him from the balcony, but plot armor. The thugs meet me on the staircase, which is an annoying obstacle, only slowing me down. I make it to the ground floor, and suddenly a storm of crows just smash through the windows, raining onto the floor before simply disappearing. No doubt about it, Ethan was losing his fucking mind, and the adrenaline of this chase wasn't helping. We got so close to catching the matchmaker before the screen fades and another chapter is in the bag. Whew, and man, what a chapter that was! From the very start, there was this existential dread and intrigue. The horrible discovery that we've attracted the attention of the serial killer who now seems fixated on us, and that things may not be as they appear, even ourselves. All the while, these horrible, violent, and jarring hallucinations, if that's what they even truly are assaulting us more and more. Some seem helpful in giving us clues as to what transpired at a crime scene, while others literally attack us. Were these the results of the gift that Van Horn whispered in our ear? Or were we simply becoming more unhinged and like the very people we were fighting off as we delved deeper into their world? I was becoming a lot more invested, and so were the boys. I remember starting a discussion to get some insight on what possibly could be going on, but mainly so I could just delay having to press continue for more spooky white men. And everyone was chiming in with their theories. Some thought Ethan was crazy, others thought it was demons or aliens mind controlling the masses, and slowly Ethan too. One kid though, who was always at the far corner by himself, staring into the void and always spoke in a monotoned way, said something about vocal cord parasites? Wolbachia? And then just randomly chanted Fusro Dar over and over while T-posing. Yeah, we had to send that guy home because there's no fucking way that could be part of the story. But there was something just really cool and iconic about a group of young friends, still very much in the world of kids, separated from the world of adulty affairs, breaking the rules by staying up late and jumping into a very adult world and trying to figure it out and overcome something that was completely out of our wheelhouse and experiences together. And each theory we came up with made the rest of us shudder and only add to our own interpretations of what was going on. God, man, I love this era of gaming. I don't know, I kind of wish it's something that's like a relic of the past now, you know, homies getting together and just staying up late playing spooky games. You've totally got to experience that if you haven't, guys. Please, call up the boys, assemble the posse, and have a dominoes and spooks-filled night. You will love it, guys. You will absolutely love it. But with another slice of pizza in my gut and apple juice in my cup, I press continue for, you guessed it, more spooky white men. Level 3, baby! Coincidentally, this level gives me heavy subway section vibes in Silent Hill 3. That's another area I'm fond of, by the way. If only because it's as far as I'd always get before either pussying out due to long spooky white men, or being too much of a three-head smooth brain to figure out how to progress before restarting and trying again, but that's another video entirely. We are hot, I mean hot, on the matchmaker's ass. He swiped right on us, but little did he know we're that crazy cat lady who believes she's a witch in 2022, complete with a collection of dead crows in her pocket, so, with instant buyer's remorse, he's catching the next train out of town, but ha ha ha! We're a witch, silly! And we're an emotional water sign. We don't wear high heels. Hell, we don't even believe in shoes. So we are haul ass and bare feet slapping against the dirty needle floor after you. Only Ethan does run like he's wearing high heels. So much so, it makes the killer's inbred hobbling look like a Usain Bolt personal best. And just, fuck you, plot armor! Our future self tries to warn us to get out of this life while we still have our sanity and teeth, but being the innocent and toothy-smiled summer child that we are, we politely tell him to, shut up. Riddick's here! Everybody, Riddick is here, and he's packing heat!
You're not afraid of the dark, are you?
Oh, yes the fuck I am, Riddick! Enemies with firearms always enter a fight with full ammo, and eventually you end up embracing this feverish rush to get your hands on that gun instantly before they waste all the ammo, which usually has you charging them with reckless abandon and beating the hot dog shit out of them, taking another man's life just for a few more bullets. Wait, hold up, rewind. Okay, pause. That was the same guy in that Van Horn Cosby drug-induced nightmare. Wait, so is he real? Am I hallucinating? I mean, he did disappear in a puff of hobo confetti, so... I don't know. But how brief these out-of-place supernatural moments were always led to a very visceral, dude, did you see that? Outburst in the room, with some catching it while others missing out, and then us then having to fill them in while trying to recreate the scene with what we thought we saw. It was a really cool spooky ghost sighting-like vibe, which made turning every corner or hearing a brief sound thereafter feel like it could be anything. Not just a crazy hobo running around a corner, and that was truly terrifying and engaging to me. After some more epic ownage montage material, we find more of the eerie metal with strange alien characters carved onto them. They're always hidden behind places or objects. Obviously for gameplay collectible reasons, but there was something ominous about it all. They were always placed out of sight but in areas of direct frequent public use, like, say, behind the cash register, or behind the bench, or near lockers and cabinets. Why? Did they have a part to play in the madness sweeping the city? Maybe being in proximity to them had some kind of adverse effects on your mind. If that was the case, then what the hell is in store for us by collecting them? And by who? Who discovered these things and what's their agenda with doing this? Was it a cult? Aliens? Russians? I don't know, perhaps that's what was causing these weird hallucinations. Suddenly the people going mad down here feel a little bit more relatable and not so crazy. I love these kind of moments in games. It plays perfectly into the vibe of being a detective looking over CCTV footage for clues, but from a gameplay and immersion perspective, it adds so much more. You can see potential enemies in the next room, and it just gives off this sense that there's a real environment with real characters living in them. Plus, it's a great way for my pussy boy brain to take a break from facing the horror, but still getting safely spooked by images on a monitor.
FBI, open up!
But after we get swatted, we cross over a sign that clearly says, yeah, you don't want to be here. Before smack
Alive? You're still alive?
Oh, Jesus, is that my teeth? Oh, just like that old gypsy man said. Well, we're starting to look more like a crackhead down here. We certainly smell like them at this point, and we're tripping fat dick to boot too, so I guess there's nothing for it but to get into a bum brawl beatdown. Battered, bruised, and gummy, we finally corner the matchmaker onto a train. He's been running from us the entire time, sending a horde of crazies our way, but nothing's stopping us at this point. But then the train starts to move, and we're outside. And the little bullshit step we're on is coming apart. At this point, everyone in the room is going, oh shit, dude, get up, get up! I'm just flailing at the crazy monkeys trying to pull me out the car window at the zoo, crying, I'm trying, Dad, but please help me! Just once in your life, please help me! But that's another video altogether. You understand, at the time, this was crazy, intense, cinematic-like stuff. This was a world pre-Uncharted, where every moment was an explosive action scene, so beating off a junkie on public transport was an adrenaline high like no other. The matchmaker's clearly had enough of our clingy ass and decides to block our grinder profile, leaving us heartbroken on the tracks with dirty feet and no teeth. I think the subway level is a great milestone section of the game for me. I don't know whether it's just my spurgy ass, but a lot of the time I can be really into a game, but just drop it early on for absolutely no reason. Only to then come back a year or two later, and then obsessively 100% the sucker after passing said early sections. Some of these games will no doubt get their own videos that end up being longer than the games themselves in the future too. And if you made it to this point in the video, you're probably gonna nerd out with me all the way to the end now. And if you made it this far in Condemned, you're probably gonna ride the crazy train all the way off the rails. Because trust me, it gets
Crazy.
Now up until this point, we've been pretty grounded in the premise of the story. Who we are and what we're going up against. Policeman beats up the poor. Simple and easy to follow. But if I told you we transitioned from tasing the poor homeless out of their cardboard tents to crawling skin children in an abandoned school, moving mannequin men in a mall, and Shrek in an apple orchard, all this while Bruce Braceface Lee pulls off a sick revolver cock-a-lot nunchuck montage in the background,
Breakdown.
would you believe me? Oh, okay, fellas, Daddy's just still digesting his Christmas dinner, so I'm feeling all sorts of fat and stupid right now. So bear with me. Where were we? Okay, level 4. So before we get back into chasing our man who's playing hard to get, we get another report that doubles as both a loading screen and some lore throwing us a clue as to what's really happening in the city of Metro. Apparently, there's a correlation to increased numbers of bird deaths in the city and its rise in crime. So not only are they dying, their brains are also literally dissolving. That's some strong acid in the water. So suddenly, this whole crow collection nonsense starts to make sense, as Ethan has probably, hopefully, looking at this, been dissecting the crows to find a potential lead. But what does that mean? Is there something in the water? Was it those weird metal pieces? If their power literally dissolves bird brains, what long-term effects is it having on the people here? On us? Especially on us, because I'm a peanut-brained chimp who's been outsmarted by pigeons in the past. So things are not looking too great for me while I run along a dark train tunnel with no shoes and no teeth. In fact, let that be a lesson here, by the way. If there's anything you are going to take away from this video, let it be this. If you ever see a dead bird out on the streets or in a field, just fucking run, mate, okay? Because there is no doubt some Florida bath salt zombie beating off in the bushes looking at you butt naked, ready to make you his little meat trinket. Just look at this brick of a Nokia with that ominous as almighty fuck picture on the screen. Could you imagine getting this in your DMs followed by a message saying, meet me here? Fuck you! Anyway, I wonder what's waiting for us at the beginning of level 4. Oh, come on, man. Give me a break. What the fuck was that?
Bring down.
So this is where we start getting away from the meth activities and start observing the outcomes of straight Jenkin Huffin. Smoke shit, look like this git. These dudes have fine-tuned their bodies through an exclusive diet of intermittent fasting on sewer rats. And you are what you eat after all, so these epic gamers are able to scramble along walls and underneath your doors at breakneck speeds. Now I've always had a knee-jerk repulsion to anything that skitters. Especially if that thing looks like a person. So this level was just, fantastic for me at 2 in the fucking morning. Yeah, so as soon as I saw this, I mentally checked out. There's something about seeing a man move in an impossible way while under the effects of hot shit that just makes you forget you're a socialized human being and instead revert to something more basic and feral. I slapped my best friend, of course, the pause button and break the facade to the gang. Any attempts at cool composure are out the window at this point. I was begging with the boys to save me and take over, but after seeing what already happened in this game, and the effects it clearly has on whoever's playing it, my pleas were met with a resounding, "Get fucked, mate!" I noticed these assholes had actually built a pillow fort, complete with safety blankets, and left me out in the dark to fight off these sewer smurfs. The game sees how deep we're drowning and gives us a very much needed emotional support shotgun, before sending us through a maze of tight, suffocating corners. You really feel how close you are to everything in this level. It's also uncomfortably in your face, and the sound effects constantly have you double taking and second guessing what's happening. It is straight up paranoia inducing. Hey yo! Just check this out. Turn your volume all the way up. Don't worry, I ain't gonna jump scare you. Check the comments for the YouTube hero who timestamps that shit if you don't believe me. I'm just trying to put you behind the controller right now. There's a stifling quiet and stillness to the atmosphere, and yet at the same time, it still feels like there's just so much going on. You're never quite sure how you really feel or what to make of any moment you're in, and this is something I find to be nearly entirely exclusive to Condemned. We finally catch up to the train the matchmaker was on and scan for evidence. Turns out this dude is spilling his spaghetti more than we thought, the little pussy hole. While Rosa is analysing the Dorito dust print, a turf war between the gym bros and the goth girls ensue, and look, I know we're about to enter
Current year.
but I mean, the gym bros just absolutely batter the eyeliner off these bitches, and I mean, it's no wonder. I mean, look at this shit. Yes, silly bitch! In all seriousness, I hate seeing her run at me with reckless abandon from this dark long carriage. There's just something so animalistically murdery about it. But a new feeling was overcoming me at this point, though. I wasn't as scared, but rather empowered. I felt like I was getting used to this underworld, and not only was I surviving, I was thriving. Oh, fuck, okay, never mind! We had the matchmaker on the run, and he was trying everything he could to slow us down. Our spidey sense alerts us to a train cart that has a crowbar and footprints filled with a residue used mainly for making department store mannequins. We're closing in on 'em, boys. A hidden compartment reveals 7 mannequin limbs, all with the same store branding. If we head to this store, we'd be one step closer to catching this sucker, and sure enough, a PA system echoes through the dead subway corridor, saying the next train to that very store's area is about to depart. Now, I always found this part to be uncanny. We've been trudging through the forgotten hidden dregs of society for so long that I actually forget that there even is a society still. So to be reminded of normality through a train departure announcement always makes you go, oh yeah, normal people are still a thing. We bust a move for that train and take a moment to relax in first class, baby. I doubt the ticket man's working today. Phew, so much for first class. Turns out the Bureau has already come to their conclusion on the cop murders and want Ethan to surrender himself. Ethan claps back at the boss and we get some really unflattering close-ups of the body models in this game, and oh boy, they are rough. I know cauliflower ear's a thing, but Ethan's ear actually looks like a cauliflower. Like, if you were to Photoshop his ear onto a plate of food, I wouldn't know that's Ethan Thomas's ear I'm munching on right now. We also get a longer shot of this freak show that's been following us throughout the game. Every time this dude appeared, the whole room would just start jumping into 5G Domino's brain theories of what he is. Like, why does he have this metal in his face? Was he turning us more violent? Controlling us?
Maybe I have gone crazy.
Van Horn then blows up our phone for a booty call and to make sure we're still working hard to avoid jail time. Yep, no, thanks bud, still working on that. He also has a weird over-interest in our case and clearly knows something and is choosing to hide it for whatever reason. Around this time is when you start to see a transition in Ethan. Before he was like this proper by-the-book like dude, and now he just really can't be fucked with anyone's bullshit, and I'm all about that. Okay, hold up lads, boys, real talk for a second. Bart's department store is easily my favorite level in the game. It is dripping, moist even in atmosphere. It's probably one of my favorite levels in gaming, period. So again, turn up those speakers and just drink in the intro of this level. I mean, guys, where do I begin? Visually, I love the wooden look of being inside the store compared to the grey concrete of the streets and sewers. It looks recognizably familiar, being a store like you and I would have visited countless times before, but seeing it in this perverse, derelict state just morphs the environment into something alien and off. But then that perversion is juxtaposed by the Christmas decorations that still linger throughout the mall. And the game was cleverly released around the Christmas period when we were playing this, so right off the bat you're just being pulled back and forth in opposite directions on how to perceive this environment. It's just fucking genius. And dude, the sound, the sound! That thick and heavy paranormal activity hum with the distant faded and distorted instrumentals that kind of sound like they would be from like some damaged audio track playing throughout the ghost town of a mall. Every sound effect being so deliberate and alarming. And did you hear that fucking mannequin talk to you as you walked past him? Like whispering threats to you. And you could only get glimpses of a figure stalking you from above or hesitantly moving forward. Everything about Bart's department store is equal parts just chef's kiss and kill it with fucking fire. And that's precisely how I want my horror games. After fighting off a few Black Friday shoppers, we come across this.
No!
Is this late stage tetanus eating at my brain, or did a mannequin just 12 gauge blast a man through some glass? That kid in the back before that was going, dude, what the fuck? Who had been rocking back and forth for a few hours now wasn't doing too good with this new information. So to recap, the mannequins are alive, they have shotguns, and they like murder. And we're in a store full of mannequins. Then we come into this room. The mannequins actively blend into the lifeless ones. They casually walk around the stores unfazed by your presence. Their breathing is all muffled behind their porcelain masks, and behind it is a grotesquely disfigured skinless face. I mean, fuck, dude! What happened here to these people? Could you imagine being in this situation? The moment I see a mannequin move, that's a wrap on my day, son. Whatever I had planned is promptly cancelled as my skin gets peeled off. But there's just so many cool, naturally seeming set pieces in this level. From the whispers of death to the posing mannequins and the reveal of this massive dead Christmas mole tree still adorned with baubles and presents, despite the absolutely foobar situation we're in. But the best and most disturbing one comes next. To this day, this scene still messes with me. It's just so visually and audibly loud and in your face. But at the same time, nothing is actually happening to you. It's probably the best depiction of what paranoia or anxiety looks like if you could manifest it. I just fucking love it. And I mean, at this point, it goes without saying, the crew behind me is absolutely silent, afraid to speak and not even knowing what to think at all. We've never experienced anything like this before in a video game, and because of that, this game, this night, was becoming more than just playing a video game. It was having an effect and impact on us. That heavy hum in the game felt like it was in the air of the room with us. But amidst all of this buttfuckery, we've been having psycho trips on seeing the matchmaker murder and drag a body into the lower levels of the mall. Eventually, we find that body that comes with a big twist.
Image received. Well, what do we have here? A matchmaker scene. But it's not quite right. Looks like you have a male corpse and a female mannequin. Exactly the opposite of normal. Well, not normal. Thomas, photograph the victim's face. Shape and color of the facial mark is consistent with the painted marks on all the male mannequins in previous matchmaker crime scenes. But this is strange. Thomas, get a shot of his right hand, will you? Yes, he's missing his right index finger, and it doesn't look like it's a recent loss either.
This guy's the matchmaker. Well, he certainly didn't kill himself and set it up this way.
See what else you can find. Damn, no usable DNA traces. Killer must have worn gloves, but there is something.
What is it?
Too early to call. Small particles that show up as a potential organophosphate pesticide. I'll work more on that and see what we get.
We know you can do it. Keep yourself up!
Dun dun dun! Turns out the guy we've been chasing all this time isn't the matchmaker, but instead a serial killer who kills serial killers via their own methods. A serial killer X. This revelation made everyone in the room with their 14-year-old philosopher minds go, holy shit! It brought everyone out of the depths of crippling fear and into fascination. We needed to know how this story ends now, and firmly locked us into the rest of the night, unearthing what other nightmare fuel awaited us, and trust me, it only gets more 50 Shades of fucked up from here. But until that happens, we've got a brief stress-relieving interval in the form of a good old-fashioned bum beatdown. It's a break from the tension and fear, but still keeps a sense of survival intact while letting us go kinda wild on gangs of hobos. No care for their well-being or the morals of your actions. It's actually one of the most fun levels for its brutality, and intended or not, the devs could have just thought, fuck it, we got nothing for this level, let's just let the player kill shit. But as pretentious as it sounds, it's a cool subtle take on the degradation of Ethan's mentality and moral compass, and how he's becoming closer to the murderous villains he's chasing through his actions. I mean, if you were to compare this Ethan to the Ethan at the beginning, trying to talk down a meth head with read him his rights kind of mentality, it's night and day. But after scoring a sick killing spree, we road surf on a wheelie bin and smash straight into the library, looking to learn a bit more about the torturer, now that he's next on the SKX's list. If we can find him before X does, then we stand a chance in catching das Überpupenfahrtenkiller.
Shit, what the hell was that?
Thomas, I'm at the library. Where are you?
Rosa.
Shut the fuck up!
Hey, Smithy! Johnson, wait up! Rosa, are you still there?
Very few people can tell me to shut up and get away with it.
Shut the fuck up!
Okay, full disclosure, the library isn't my most beloved level. In fact, it's probably my least favorite one, and while writing this script, I've been trying to figure out why. It has some fantastic moments that we're definitely going to go deep into, and I genuinely do think it's a great level. They're all bangers, in fact. But every time I've played it, I've always had this this level feeling about it. I want to say it's mainly because it's the longest level in the game. While I did say earlier that Condemned is unique in being able to keep the tension and dread so constantly high without feeling the need to give the player a break through some in-game events so that they just don't burn out, I think that's possible mainly due to the levels themselves being just naturally pretty bite-sized and short. The relief comes from seeing the screen fade to black, hearing that noir music, and seeing an end-of-level stats screen with a press start to continue prompt for whenever you're ready to dive back in. However, with the library level being as long as it is, it tends to drag on a bit. Go figure, the most boring levels in a fucking library. Yep, lovely, about on point for the vibe this Christmas. So I have this headcanon about Rose that is purely because of this level. Early on, you jump into an elevator, but instead of being calmed by some 24-hour lo-fi beats to study, chill, relax to, for some reason, you get a vision, and remember, these visions help us solve actual murder cases. You get a vision of Rosa dissolving into rats. I repeat, Rosa is actually rats. And this vision just comes and goes so casually that I can't help but think the game just assumes you're gonna come to the conclusion that Rosa is in fact a skinwalker. A changeling. A changeling donning the visage of a human. That's what was going through my head. This was my first bad trip, and I wasn't even high. I mean, pause this video right now and turn to the nearest person in your home. My condolences if you live alone. Merry Christmas. And just picture them, randomly, for no fucking reason, melting into rats. For what purpose have you bestowed this forbidden eldritch knowledge on me, game? I am not ready for what you want to show me. And it goes on. Not long after that, we see Rosa in the flesh. And Jesus fucking wept, Rosa. Winner of gaming's fuggliest character award. Yeah, I know that I mentioned Monolith was really strapped for time, so there was some rough edges, but fuck me, dog rough? Yeah, every time I look at Rosa, I can't. It's the same feeling that I believe a cat has when it sees a surprised cucumber. I'm just afraid to even make eye contact with her in case she orangutans out on me or something. I mean, she straight up looks like a caveman with glasses and a hedgehog on her head. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. But it turns out Rose has done a bit of snooping and swiped a highly classified file on us. Apparently, Ethan's built like a brick shithouse and has high-function Asperger's. I can't believe I wrote that. Fuck. Yeah, apparently Ethan's built like a brick shithouse and has high-functioning Asperger's. Which explains how he's been able to get as far as he has already. Fucking hell. But the real crazy pill shit is on the next page. His vocal cords have been redacted and are considered G14 classified. She then offers the absurdly overpowered, game-breaking, bollock-balling super taser. Before, of course, she loses control of her fucking meat suit configuration. I mean, you see what I mean? A skinwalker! Again, we just assume that that's just a thing that happens and just carry on. A master key conveniently being in the lock at the beginning of a level. That never happens in a horror game. If this was Resident Evil, Jill would be out of a job and Chris would sleep in with his rock collection because he ain't gotta be in work early as all the doors in the Spencer mansion are already unlocked. You'd hit that self-destruct sequence in 10 minutes flat. Oh, we then get attacked by ghosts? I don't know what to say, man. This level starts to blur some lines, but yeah, Ethan sees his bestie, the Metal Ninja, and proceeds to swing mad paper cutter energy at some phantom thugs. I cannot help but think what's going through Rosa's head, seeing this sorry sight through the window, Ethan flailing in the wind. I bet she thought, oh fuck, that motherfucker totally done killed them cops. I fucked up coming here. But after his calm down, Ethan and Rosa find the working terminal where they can Google the torturer, but the Wi-Fi is down. This scene is so weird because Rosa is talking like she's right there with you, but after the psycho out sound effect, she's immediately gone. Is Rosa even real? Is she rats? I don't know what to think anymore. But she somehow managed to get herself caught by SKX almost immediately too, so I'm just gonna chalk this up to Ethan having like a mini stroke or something and he's just lost some time. I mean, I wouldn't blame him after the night he's having. At this point, me and the boys are suffering a little sleep delirium, so for as wacky as this level was getting, we actually couldn't tell if the game was actually doing this, or if we were just functioning on our final brain cells and failing hard. The next scene doesn't help with that. We end up finding Rosa and start making our way through the burnt out section of the library. Ethan, being the utter stack stallion that he is, breaks clean through the floor and is separated from Rosa. She tells us to wait right there while she finds her way down, and if it's one thing we've learned from this bizarre adventure, it's that Ethan does not do too well on his own.
Thomas, it's me. Snap out of it.
Now, if I had took even just a single step forward, Rosa would have went full meth head on me with that 2x4. Like, fuck Rosa, why have you got to be so spooky? I can't help but think Rosa knows that we know that she is in fact rats and is just gaslighting us into believing we're going crazy, and is beginning to work. We bomb brawl our way to a computer room where we're finally able to get a name in elementary school for the torturer. Turns out, though, that SKX was listening in on the expo dump, so he too knows where to go. Now it's a race to the school in hopes of catching two birds with one stone. Now, if you ask me, no great horror experience is complete until you've done at least 3 things. Gone to a hospital or some kind of lab section, entered a creepy bathroom, and of course, the school level. Guys, this is yet another masterclass in level design. Up there with Bart's department store. This level has it all, including some of the best scares I've experienced in a game ever. So of course, like with any other masterclass experience in life, it starts off with a skinned crackhead smashing through a window. Immediately as you start this level, you know you're in for a rough ride. The long hallway with flickering lights just patiently waits for you to fall into all of its traps. It's better lit than previous levels, so it can lead you into a false sense of security. Don't fall for it. Now, I've recently discovered the concept of liminal spaces, and I think that's an idea that Condemned absolutely nails, and it's probably the biggest contributor to how Condemned is able to captivate me in such a strong way. Along with Fear and a lot of games made in the Source engine, they're able to convey this scene or environment that feels familiar. Normal in that it could be a room you would walk into, like say an office, and just think nothing of it. But there's also something about these artificial digital places that are presented in a way that create a kind of uncanny valley effect on me. Uncomfortable, I can recognize, but not completely. Something is amiss that I can't quite put my finger on, and that creates this obsessing question mark in my head that I constantly want to research deeper into and figure out. But at the same time, hope I don't, as I don't want this eerie magic to be dispelled. That's exactly what I see and feel walking through every room in Condemned, and each small vacant room I open in the beginning of the school level always makes me very conscious of this concept. They look like standard empty rooms, but there's also just something off about them. Small pockets and corners, maybe the size. I don't know, but it's kind of the feeling you'd get if there was like a ghostly presence in the room, I think. Something not there, but it still makes you uncomfortable. The mental freakouts start to become more frequent and extreme, to the point where it looks like it's affecting the real world, which only adds to the maddening aspect of seeing some real fuck shit. At first you go, damn, I'm going crazy! But now in true crazy fashion, you're actually going, wait, no, I'm not crazy. This shit is actually happening! And the twisted genius of it all is that it could very well be really happening. But it sounds fucking crazy! So are you the exception? Or just another fool falling into madness like everyone else in the city who thought they were the exception too? I mean, I guess the answer is the latter, considering we immediately start battering the fuck out of the skin kids in after-school detention. These freaks come out of cracks in the ceiling, in the floor, they're fucking everywhere. They even reach for literal shotguns when you interrupt their nails screeching on chalkboards. Why are there guns in schools, America? I mean, if the kids are like this, then what are the staff like? Oh. You know, as bizarre as this school comes across, you know, what with the blood, guts, and ass everywhere, I take a little comfort in the familiarity I have with the faculty of this school. Now hear me out. For I have seen a teacher flip out like this before. Oh yeah, my woodworking teacher, a real Old Testament motherfucker who had been working in my high school for like over 40 years. And this dude must have missed a teacher training day where they came to the conclusion that beating kids probably ain't the best teaching tool. In fact, it probably shouldn't be legal anymore. Nah, fuck that, this man's old school. In an attempt to get a kid to stop talking and listen to him, he took a wooden mallet and straight bonked this boy on the head. Full on danky stanked him, right? I don't know if you've ever seen a person get separated from consciousness before, but I tell you, you don't expect to see it in a classroom in your first month of high school. This kid folded like an Imperial Guard after he ate a poisoned orange in Oblivion, okay? The class went into fucking madness, and we were allowed to go home early. That same teacher retired not long after, so yeah, something about this level just, I don't know, reminds me of simpler times, I guess. Something unfamiliar to my school days, however, is that we're on a geocache hunt for human body parts. It wasn't that bad. Scanning some lips on a chalkboard gives us a DNA match to the gym teacher called Tibbets, who ratted on the torch of having similar fantasies to his murder MO when he was a kid at school. I guess snitches do get stitches. We also get introduced to Condemned's first boss fight in this absolute unit of a lady, the school chef. Her gross vibe always reminds me of the chef from Matilda who brings out that nasty looking chocolate cake, except on steroids and now the kids are in the cake, not eating it. Moving on, we find another Blue's Clue, and it turns out Mr. Tibbets can dunk so hard he rips his whole fucking arm off and leaves it hanging on the loop, the utter lad. And feeling inspired by this, Ethan tries to shoot some hoops himself, but ends up breaking all of his shit and having an out-of-body experience where he gets stabbed by a ninja demon. Now, like I said, by this point it's nearly 4 AM and we are bugging. But with everything we've been talking about, the genius of Condemned and how it sets us up on a subconscious level constantly has been leading up to this moment, and again, you're not even conscious of it. And if you played the game, you already know what I'm referring to, because I guarantee that it hit you just like it was about to hit all of us young dumb idiots. In an attempt to escape from the torturer, Mr. Tibbets hides in one of the gym lockers. Following the blood trail leads us right up to him, and sure enough, this motherfucker's dead. no doubt from shock and blood loss. We do our usual shtick, take a picture and have the data be analysed by Rosa, and sometimes she wants a more detailed close-up. This is something we've been doing constantly since level 1, so by this point we don't even bat an eyelid at it. The game has lulled us once again into a false sense of security, and that's when it happens.
Image seems to match personnel file. It didn't come through properly though. Can you take a close-up?
Help me.
Help is on the way. Who did this to you?
Carl Anderson.
The torturer. Okay, take it easy. Do you know where he is now?
Other man came took Carl away. Left me here to die.
Rosa, send an EMT immediately. Cancel.
I cannot begin to describe to you the feral monkey sounds that erupted in that bedroom the moment Tibbets burst back to life. To this day, it is one of my fondest gaming memories. A kind of bonding through trauma moment that me and my mate, who was there, still recall fondly. It's genius in its execution, and yes, technically it is a jump scare, the absolute cheapest of scares in horror. But the difference with this one is that it's player dictated. I chose to zoom in and at the pace that I did, and the game cleverly made me feel comfortable with doing it so many times earlier. The game had the patience to set this one and only scare up for hours, and it paid off big time. And at this point, Ethan's on the fucking brink, okay? For some reason, we decide to jump into a swimming pool where the most tragically hilarious scene plays out. There's just something so comically pathetic about seeing Tibbets' body flop from the ceiling like a limp dick and spring off the diving board just to splat on the floor unclimactically and pointlessly. Like, why did that even happen? Fuck. Diving further into madness still, the lockers begin to slam, doors start poltergeisting, and children's giggles echo through showers. Ethan's fever dream is about to overheat when the big cheese himself appears, brandishing a 5-foot metal pole ribbed for not your pleasure and a diameter that looks like it's just beyond your threshold. He sits you on his disco stick and gives you a ride to remember. I think it goes without saying, but at this point, Ethan has officially lost it. There is no man alive that can figuratively and literally be fucked with that hard and bounce back like, what an odd experience, and go on to live a normal life. There's no happy ending after getting fisted by 5-foot rebar and sent flying down the hallway. Ethan is fucking gone. And who else is at the door having seen all this shit, rubbing his hands and licking his palms, and our favourite uncle, Malcolm Van Semihorn. And that's the end of our school days. Fucking hell. So, with our mind being basically a worm-eaten fermented apple at this point, what better place to go than an apple orchard? And of course, we are instantly greeted with some "get out or I'll eat your face" message on the wall. And that might have scared us off 5 hours ago, but at this point, this is just love letter material for Ethan now. Whipping out the blacklight reveals a nightmare Easter egg hunt trail written in God knows what. So what do we do after seeing all this? We follow it, guys! Bro, we are checked the fuck out at this point, okay? There's a half-eaten pigeon in the fridge, and the oven is whispering to us that this is our life now. This is normality. In all seriousness, though, this house creeped me out so much. The trails required you to turn off the lights and blindly follow a line that was undoubtedly drawn by a psychopath. Or what do you think? think is gonna be at the end of the trail, son? And you want me to follow this in the dark, not knowing what's running up behind me? Ugh, it was intense. You knew you weren't alone, and the stellar sound design constantly reminded you of that. Footsteps creaking above you on the second floor, sounds of something scurrying through the garbage coming from the basement, the wind howling through the windows, slamming shutters against the wall. But fun fact, this ended up being my favourite map in Condemned 2's multiplayer, but that really is another video for another day. And speaking of the second floor, fuck, it's so claustrophobic. Every corner is a gamble on what you're going to witness. Not to mention there's a chattering ninja rehearsing his Bruce Lee nunchuck scene to pop off your ass in the attic that you enter by going through a creepy little girl's bedroom. And the basement, boy, I remember actually being called out for being a stalling pussy when I got to the stairs. Oh, I'm sorry. We made it this far into the game with only me playing and I'm the pussy? Oh, okay, friends. The moment you take a step on the basement floor, a skinned crawling freak spawns somewhere in the basement and starts giggle scurrying. Yeah, giggle scurrying, son. That's when you giggle and you scurry at the same time. Over to your location, and whenever I heard that, I bounced straight back up them stairs, which only caused the gremlin to slink back out of sight, waiting for you to come back down. I know this because I did it for like a solid half hour. I am an expert at this basement now. So much so, I know you can bomb rush straight to the sink with the story trigger, and if you're quick enough, you'll get a call from Rosa causing the freak to actually de-aggro and just casually walk away from you, politely waiting for you to finish your codec call before resuming your murder, which is equal parts horrifying and hilarious. You can actually break the AI here too, which allows you to get right up close to the model. And something I found out while making this video is that the enemies actually have an oh shit face they pull when they know they're about to get their fucking skull caved in. After deciphering the cryptic message by following all the trails, you can actually unlock SKX's secret man cave in the basement. Yay! What's inside is a secret prize collection of Ethan merch from your biggest fan. So after kindly signing some of the pictures, a loud bang alerts us that some shit's going on upstairs. Turns out it's a much needed bum fest to break up the creepy tension this house drowns you in. After some house cleaning, we run upstairs to actually see that the torturer has pegged himself on a fire poker. What the fuck? Okay. Fourth wall barrier break here. When you write a script for a video essay and then you leave it for a few months and come back and read it. You're like, who the fuck is this person that wrote this? Pegged himself to death on a fire poker. And what did I say after that? Fucking... and then pieced out of this hell. I don't blame you, mate. So of course the instant obvious idea to hit poor broken Ethan is to bathe in his blood, wear his clothes, and go face down ass up to be an irresistible honey trap for SKX. Oh, we have gone off the deep end now, ladies and gentlemen. SKX smells blood and ass and comes kicking down doors, spitting some cold killer shit as he walks up the stairs, and all this has got Ethan edging at this point. But we hold it in just as SKX is about to assume the position, and we bust out!
You shouldn't have come here.
For some reason, we get dog vision and start playing tag with SKX while he cuts us deep with some smack talk about how we're weak and that's why Dad left. And just as we're about to solve the case with the good old tried and true police brutality method, guess who comes in and fucks it all up? Uncle Hardhorn, who tries to reason with a serial killer who kills serial killers because he's his nephew. So of course he gets fucking choked out, and a part of me suspects he was kind of hoping for that outcome. And then there's just us, of course, just watching this with literal brain trauma, wearing a serial killer's underwear. I can't make this shit up. Phew! What a stretch, fellas. Thank you for sticking around this long. To those who didn't, shit, I don't blame you. But to those of you who did, I feel like me and you have trauma bonded in our own way today, and I'm really grateful to have you here. It's been fun, hasn't it? Well, not for Ethan, because he's about to get butt fucked in the barn, yo. What the fuck? So we wake up to some of that good hillbilly bondage for our 1 a.m. S&M appointment with Leyland. Of course the fucking serial killer's name is Leyland. I'm so sorry if your name is actually fucking Leyland, but come on, buddy. Now, if you ever find yourself in a situation that has you in a barn with a man called Leyland and he's got gloves on, you're about to make a fucked up memory. Or shit, half the time of your life, depends how you was raised, I guess. He continues his barrage of how much of a failure you are and how you're the reason Dad left, while the gimp who finger blasted your boy pussy down the school hall watches. I don't know, sometimes it just be like that, man. Leyland turns us into Altair and hey, there's our party crasher. He tells us that we need to destroy the evil that's caused all this madness once and for all, and while he wrestles with his nephew in the fucking hay. Jesus Christ.
All this madness. Go, kill it now.
So we grab a torch and bust on out, and I love this little mechanic. The torch serves as our weapon and our light source. It does bullshit damage, but at least you can see what you're cooking. We exit the barn into a dark moonlit farm, and I love this level. Throughout the entire game, we've been suffocated in dusty tight corners and broken down basements. This is the first and only level where we get to be out in the open and you feel it. We catch glimpses of ominous foreboding entities stalking us and whispers of a mind gone mad. Or is this the voice of someone invading our consciousness? I don't even know at this point. The music, once again, is awesome. Monolith has just such a good way of making me feel my environment and situation, and I just fucking love it! You hear this drone of anticipation as if you can hear your senses embracing for what's out there in the dark. And when you combine that with the shadows running in the distance and the echoed howls of the horribly burned men in the wind, you know you're in a damn good horror game, son. The combat in this level is of course the same as it's been throughout the entire game, but there is this heightened sense of all-out feralness in the exchanges between you and your enemies now. You're both just going all in and it feels so much more intense, powerful, and scary all at once. And that's because you don't have your taser anymore. You ditched your FBI uniform, threw away your gun, dropped your taser, now you're just wearing a dead man's clothes, moisturizing with serial killer blood, and you're putting farm boys on a slow roast spit! What a difference a day makes! And after fighting our way through halls of horrors in the dark, we make it. We had one last parrot to finish our collection and prepare to face the image of evil. The source of all this madness. The serial killings, the rising crime, the psychotic breakouts. It was this gimp. Of course it was the gimp all along. He stands above you, spectating as you fight off his minions like a Streets of Rage finale, which I absolutely love, until he decides it's time to duel. This is it! Time to put a pounding on Professor Prolapse, and man, what a memorable fight it is. After kicking 7 shades of shit out of him, you start to literally dismantle this motherfucker piece by piece. Ripping off his shoulder, pulling out his spine until finally tearing off the metallic jaw that whispered all those horrors in your head and dropping his ass into the fire like the hot trash he is. Me and the boys were hype as fuck, whacked out on sleep deprivation and adrenaline. We were screaming, dude, no fucking way, we wombo combo, the literal embodiment of evil. What an awesome moment that was. There's something about overcoming a journey of fear and adversity together that just brings people closer. Some of us high-fived, others cheered, and a few actually confessed their love and kissed one another. It was a fucking trippy night. But it wasn't over yet. Even 3-second sprint Thomas makes it out of the barn only to be met with the full beams of a car pulling up. Shit, we've been caught. After everything we went through. I mean, it's not like we can prove our innocence, what with the barn going up in flames, and a face full of blood and a pocket full of spines isn't really the best look. But it turns out it's not the 5-0, but Malcolm, not really my uncle, so it's okay, Van Horn, who after power driving his nephew into a bale of hay came to our aid. What a nice guy.
Thomas, you have looked into the face of hate, the visage of evil. Know that hate is in your soul, too. It is, sadly, everywhere. Mastering one's fear and controlling one's hatred is perhaps the most difficult thing one can do.
Well, at least it's over. It's dead, and the killings will stop. Stop the car.
No, you still don't understand. He's done unspeakable things, even though those he killed were killers themselves. But he isn't responsible. He's not in his right mind. He's...
Stop the goddamn car now! Open the trunk.
Thomas, don't! He was a good boy. We were all good people. We were able to fight it back, most of us. My nephew was not as strong. He fell victim and destroyed so many things. We fought to save him. I must continue to do so.
I don't care whether the sick fuck is in his right mind or not.
Think of what you are doing! Both of you have a chance for redemption.
Redemption? Listen, old man, you used me just like he did. You used me to save your precious nephew, a serial killer. You're no better than he is.
I love Ethan's speech here. You can just feel the betrayal and exhaustion in it all, and after being touched by the devil, in more ways than one, you're right there with him when he pulls out his gun. So now we have one last choice to make. Put an end to the man who single-handedly ruined our career, disfigured and traumatized us to most likely the point of no return, which also resulted in us losing our anal virginity that we were actually saving for our future wife, or... we just fucking let him go. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. This wasn't the time for 14-year-old philosophy. I was tired, angry, and my booty done ached. So of course I shot that motherfucker. But even if you don't, SKX manages to pop himself in the teeth anyway. So all's well that ends well. Thinking there's no way tomorrow could be more horrifying than last night, we get jump scared by Rose's face first thing in the fucking morning. Woman, at least let me enjoy my shot of water in this bootleg Buc-ee's before you subject me to your prehistoric looking ass. Ethan, of course, dodges the question about murdering a man in the trunk and quickly excuses himself to go vomit from being in close proximity to Rosa. One last jump scare to close out the game with. I know it's cheap, but I don't care. I love it. Mainly because it instantly flooded me and the others with so many questions. Like, what the fuck? What is that? Is Ethan one of them now? I thought we killed the source of evil. Has he just gone crazy? Was it real or not? And I just love it for that. But as the credits were playing, I took a breath and finally set down the controller. I did it. It was over. But was it? There's always this bittersweet feeling of sad accomplishment whenever you beat a game that you absolutely loved. And I couldn't help but be in denial that it was truly over. All that mystery and discovery over the course of a few days was such a thrilling adventure. From finding the game by chance in a local store and it instantly captivating me, to telling my friends about it and finding that scary Flash game online, and of course, finally braving the horrors of Condemned criminal origins over the course of one night. This was a journey like none other that I had ever experienced in gaming, and I just had to know. Was there gonna be more? Please tell me there was gonna be a sequel in the works. While the credits were still rolling, I had my friend turn on his PC and check Google for anything relating to Condemned 2. Nothing. Man, this really was it. I mean, the first game only just released and the devs were hard pressed for time just to get this out, let alone work on a sequel. So of course it was irrational to think otherwise, but hey man, that's what passion does to you. And to this day, whenever I play a game that I absolutely adored, I instantly Google what's next for the series because of Condemned. Wouldn't be until late 2007, nearly 2 years after that night, that reports of crime were going back up and the fall of crows started happening again. Condemned was coming back. That's another video for another day. And that, my fellow Skinwalker friends, brings us to the end of our nightmare-fueled Christmas all-nighter. This was my introduction. This was my blast into, like, the Xbox in general and HD gaming. It wasn't Halo, it wasn't, I don't know, Perfect Dark Zero or something like that. No, it was just beating meth heads in alleys for fucking hours. It was a blast, man. And this is my first, video essay, rambly, nerdy, gushy love letter thingy. And I gotta say, this was really fun. This is one of the fondest gaming memories I have, that whole night of just crazy adrenaline, nightmare fuel into this new era in gaming where it just felt like everything was just so super real. Like if you compared Condemned's just visual style, just walking through dark alleyways, to like, I don't know, fucking for another series I love, like say Resident Evil. But if you just compare it down, walking down the hallways in like Code Veronica or something, yeah, it's night and day. There was just something about the Xbox 360 in that era that just ushered in this new wave of, nowadays not so much, but back then, hyper-realism that just, it was just so overstimulating for my spurgy brain. But yeah, this has been a project I've been wanting to get done for years now. Condemned is my... It's my baby, man. I always feel like I'm the only motherfucker in the room. You know that meme where it's like they don't know about Condemned and everyone's just partying, having a good time? That is me. I'm that motherfucker in the corner like, these motherfuckers don't know about SKX. Yeah, I love Condemned, man. And it always pains me whenever I look at like top 10 video game horror lists or something like that. And you know, you've got your Fatal Frame 2s, you've got your Silent Hills, you've got your Resident Evil remakes, and rightly so. I absolutely adore those games. But then you've got bullshit like fucking Outlast and all that mess, and all of that gets like Five Nights at fucking Freddy's or something, and like you never see Condemned. And I think the lack of love that Condemned gets, it's for me one of the greatest like gaming sins out there. This series needs more eyes, it needs more love, and it needs more of an awareness so that we can finally, hopefully, oh my god, get another sequel. Now, like I alluded to at the end, there is a Condemned 2, and for the most part, it's kind of a middling experience compared to one for most people. I actually love the dog shit out of it to an extent, not as much as one, but I definitely love it. I love a lot of the stuff that a lot of people don't like about it. But since then, Condemned has gone dark. It has just sunk back into the shadows to be forgotten again, and it is just... it fucking sucks, dude, I'm gonna be honest. So, I remember back in 2015, I messaged Jace Hall. Now, this guy was the former CEO and founder of Monolith Productions, the developers, right? And it turned out he was the guy that still owned the rights to the Condemned IP. And he had been recently at that point, so now it's been like, what, shit, nearly 7 years since that? He has been looking for indie devs who have like a proven history that they could handle Condemned, and he was just going to give the rights straight over to them to see what they cooked up. And I was so excited about this because I'd honestly rather anything than nothing, because I feel like if we don't get anything, Condemned is just dead in the water, and I need more fucking Condemned, baby. Shoot it in my fucking toes. So since then, it's gone quiet. And I do remember tweeting to him saying, oh, can we get an update on yada 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 on Condemned 3 or whatever the fuck it's going to be, a reboot or whatever. And all he ever said was, I cannot find the tweet to save my life, but all he said was, can't say, top secret, smiley face. Alright, that's a long fucking secret to keep, motherfucker. So a part of me kind of thinks nothing's happening, which really fucking just, oh dude, cock and ball torture to the extreme. So I'm hoping that this video is going to inspire you to just pick up Condemned for yourself, play it, love it, fucking whatever, and tweet about it to JSword, tweet about it to Monolith, tweet about it to anyone, and hopefully we can get, I don't know, just a few more eyes on this absolute gem of a horror game. It needs more love, guys. It's always super fucking cheap on Steam. You could probably get it for dirt cheap physically on 360 still as well. Man, go out there, go crack some hobos in the heads. In the game, not in real life. That's pretty fucked. I should probably edit that part out. But if you had a good time, guys, that's what it's about, man. I've had a wonderful time recounting this story with you. And yeah, it's made me relive this kind of day again. And funnily enough, the day that I uploaded this, that's pretty much like the, I don't know, goddamn, fucking 15th, 16th anniversary of that day actually happening. Man, how does time fucking fly? Oh, God almighty. So yeah, if you enjoyed this and you'd like to see some more like nerdy video essay love letter stuff from my mind and games that I personally think don't get talked enough about, because there's plenty of them. I already have ideas for more. Let me know in the comments section. Let me know what your Condemned is, how I feel about Condemned. What is that game for you? Like, just tell me all about it in the comments section. This isn't some bullshit way to kind of like trick you into like interacting with the video. I don't give a fuck about that. I genuinely want to know what passions you have, what was your all-nighter fond 14-year-old memory, man? What was yours? I want to know about it. Fuck, make your own video about it and link it in the comments below, man. I would love to fucking watch it. But if you actually are on the same page with me and you love Condemned as much as I do, please, for the love of God, fucking tell me about it, because I feel like I'm the only motherfucker screaming down these dark hallways, man, and I think there's a mannequin fucking running up behind me, so I need to get the fuck out of here now. This has been a blast, guys, but until later, you take care of yourselves and have a great rest of the year and go forward into the next one with all that good energy. I'll see you in the next one. Bye 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 bye.